U.S. government importing Taliban to Iraq to kill U.S. troops. See, get it through your head, folks. These are totally ruthless people that run things, and they take our farm boys and our inner city boys and well-meaning, patriotic Americans that love the red, white, and blue and get a tear in their eye when they hear the Star-Spangled Banner and all of our country's great history, and you're used by these corporate slugs who try to one-up each other on how much they hate this country and hate sovereignty. And the very group using you to take over the world is destroying our liberties and freedoms here on the home front. And I know a lot of you driving along in your cars right now are hearing this for the first time, but I know if you've been in Iraq, that it's called a rumor with the troops that the intelligence agencies are running attacks on you. There's no rumor. In fact, there have been mainstream articles where the Marines and the Army have caught spooks from the U.S., Israel, and England staging attacks. And there have been hundreds of cases in the news when U.S. forces catch Taliban and Al Qaeda in Iraq attacking U.S. troops and British troops and others, and then they're told to release them. In fact, Paul, I know you're listening right now. Let's create like a master article, even if it's just links. Give us that Financial Times of London and AP. Well, one headline was Airlift of Evil, 2002. Newsweek also did a report, but whitewashed it and said, oh, yeah, tens of thousands of Taliban and Al Qaeda the cream leadership, flown out to safety into Pakistan to then build an army to menace the Pakistani government to bring it down. Then they're going to move them into Kashmir. Then they're going to move them into India. They are the shock brigade of the New World Order. Well paid. They're warlord leaders, paid in gold, paid in diamonds, just live in giant palaces built all over Afghanistan and Pakistan now. That's been in the news. They're running the opium as well, and they are the force to take over Central Asia. They are the great sword of the New World Order, the scimitar. And so they're moved as a rook, as a key piece on the table. I would say more important than a rook, almost a queen. In fact, they really are a queen. They can move with that of any piece. They move in Eastern Europe. They move in Central Europe. They move in Far Asia. They move in Africa. They move in Central Asia. And they were flown out to safety. I just keep remembering all these mainstream admissions, but all hidden in plain view like it's no big deal. About U.S. Special Forces colonels and generals angry. Taliban generals paid in gold. Special Forces catch them in the caves. Catch them attacking U.S. forces. They come out with their hands up. The CIA orders the drones not to attack. Orders the Predators not to attack. Orders the Reapers not to attack. They come out, hands up. They're taken to the base. They're loaded on C-130s with giant chests of gold and cash and diamonds and flown out to destabilize the next country. The black op force of hell. And this is the big, dirty secret that gets the globalists hopping mad at me. This is when I get the death threats, is when I talk about this. They can't stand you learning about it. Over and over again. Look at the White House 2.5 years ago, 2007. 3 years after we broke the news, and then the New Yorker magazine reported on it. But we were the first to talk about it. Remember? Remember what happened? 4 different terrorist groups, 3 of them Wahhabist, Al Qaeda, out of Iraq and Saudi Arabia, officially funded by the CIA, inside Iran, blowing up school bus, attacking schools, bombing mosques, bombing dams, trying to get the Iranians to start a fight in Iraq across the border where Al Qaeda sits. We've listed the groups, the names. Then the White House came out and said, yeah, we're using these groups to destabilize Iran with military strikes. They're backed up by U.S. Special Forces inside the country, marking targets. Al Qaeda openly working, and the number 3 in Al Qaeda, their commander. Meanwhile, we told you in 2002 in Road to Tyranny that they would then, in Afghanistan, grab innocent 14-year-old goat herders and take them to Abu Ghraib, take them to Camp X-Ray, take them to other black sites for torture. Meanwhile, real Taliban and Al Qaeda sit there in armored fortresses waging their war against the Pakistani government. They are the knife the globalists hold to the throat of the Pakistani government. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Other news straight ahead, then we'll get back into this key subject. We're going to go live at prisonplanet.tv, simulcasting with the syndicated radio transmission. Coming up at the start of the next segment. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here live Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Back from 9 to midnight Central Standard Time. In fact, 9 to 1 a.m. I keep forgetting we added a fourth hour a year ago. It's not my fault, though, ladies and gentlemen. You do a radio show from 11 to 2 for 11 years, and then you add another hour. You keep forgetting. Wonder how many years it'll take me to stop saying 9 to midnight and 9 to 1 a.m. Central. And that's just re-aired on the network. It's restreamed continually at prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com. And don't forget the free podcast right there on the site as well. Look, I know it's painful for a lot of veterans and people to hear me come on air and say that Taliban and Al Qaeda work for the U.S. government. It is all hidden in plain view. AP, Reuters, Times of London, London Guardian, Haaretz, Jerusalem Post, UPI, and Paul Watson is putting a master link article up in the next few minutes at prisonplanet.com, and he will be on with us to talk about it. But it's just like people that can't believe that Madoff, the news is now reporting, stole $171 billion. I kept saying the real numbers we were getting were over $100 billion, not $50 billion. Well, the feds, I guess that's the right hand of Madoff. The left hand stole it. Now it goes back to the right hand of the Madoff types. $171 billion plus is what's been grabbed out of his assets. Oh, I thought it was only $50 billion in a Ponzi scheme. See, he's kind of the fall guy. I would imagine we'll hear that Madoff has cancer soon. And that's why they've decided to, for his family and the globalists and the New World Order friends he has, that he'll take the hit for the team. And our guests have said that the money's been fenced out of the United States from the stupid slaves that invested, as they think of us, to offshore banks. But I'm sorry, I have to correct. The media was saying $50 billion, and we said more like $100 billion. I'm sorry, $171 billion. But see, they got to say $50 billion so you never get paid back, see. There's plenty of money for the investors, but you're not going to get it. If you get anything, you're going to get sent to a forced labor camp. How's that sound? See, the bankers are bankrupting everything by design. They've stolen $14.8 trillion, and we haven't got new numbers in 2 months. 7 months into the bailout, it was $14.8 trillion, and I'm sure it'll probably be $20 trillion next time we hear. Next time they release the numbers, I'm just throwing it out there. $20 trillion, what, 19.7, 20.1 trillion? I don't know. It's $14.8 trillion 2 months ago. But we're online now to hear, and of course they'll say we won't say where the $14.8 trillion or $20 trillion or whatever it's going to be went. They're online every time we get the numbers for it to be 12 months out from the October 3rd takeover, for it to be $26 trillion. But we know it's $14.8 trillion last time they told us. But they tell Congress, sit down, shut up, we're not telling you where the money is. And if you get too uppity, we'll just stage a nuke attack. In fact, I've got that clip coming up later. On Glenn Beck, he has the, quote, bin Laden hunter. Yes. It's kind of like hunting for your pocket watch in your pocket. Isn't it, globalist? Isn't it, spooks? So we're going to play that later. Glenn Beck. Yes, it would be If America isn't nuked, Al Qaeda will get us. America will fall. Kind of like, we should pull up the clips of the 5 big TV generals still secretly on Pentagon payroll that came out. I told you beforehand they were on payroll, clearly. Meeting with Rumsfeld going, if we don't have another big attack, we're not going to get this mission done. And you know it, Rumsfeld. Yeah, 9/11 sure helped us. I wonder what we need to do. I mean, they are 1 millimeter from on tape saying, let's hit these bastards again. That'll teach them to submit to us. In fact, maybe Watson should add that to this Taliban Al Qaeda works for the U.S. government story. Because this is right out in plain view. And now, all over the press club, there's sources saying to Madsen and others that troops continue to catch him over there. The troops are wise to it. But it's confirmed this is going on.